And that is why we will have to constantly adapt to the new situation. We will have to follow news and events and also follow the recommendations of the experts. And this is what we've seen over the last few weeks. We have had to make sure that we are guided by the opinions of experts and scientists. And so we have to apply the precautionary principle without being alarmist about it. And that is precisely what we're doing here in the European Parliament. And that is why our President, David Sassoli, has our full support. We fully back all of the decisions he has taken, but we will continue to meet and we will take necessary decisions to prevent propagation and ensure that staff in the Parliament avoid contamination. Security as well as human health are of paramount importance, and as politicians, of course, we take responsibility for that. And in the plenary right now, there is a debate going on, and it is our responsibility, therefore, to fully explore all the ramifications of this situation. We have to look at it from the economic point of view, look at the economic as well as social impact of the crisis, potentially. And in the resolution on which we have worked, and will not be adopted as such, but certainly we have reflected its content in the debate today. We are calling for more solidarity between countries of the European Union, and when it comes to coordination, it's important to remember that the EU has always been able to move forward when it has stood together, and that is why we believe standing shoulder to shoulder is the principle which we will apply. We will also look at the medical response, various practical questions, European public health, as well as medical equipment, and also the dissemination of best practice. We will also call for those regions that are less affected to show solidarity with those who have been acutely affected and to help with the sharing of medical stocks. And the European Union is already working on a vaccine. That is extremely important. We need also to make sure we get that message across to ordinary people. And I think that this health crisis shows something we've been saying for a long time, and that is that investment in public health systems is badly needed. Whenever we have a crisis of this nature, we have to be prepared to face up to it. We have to make sure that we have more flexibility when it comes to our fiscal standards and make sure that we do what is necessary to contain the crisis as well as down the line to stimulate the economy. And this is something that we must always have in the back of our minds. Other issues that we will be talking about today are the 100 days, 100 days of the European Commission. We will be, of course, following the news from the European Commission. And as a political group, we do not believe that we can simply stand by. Now, the beginning of this Commission's term has been very difficult. It's had to manage the extraordinarily difficult issue of Brexit, for example. We have seen just how difficult it was for Council to adopt a decision on the financial framework and the various ideas and criteria that we believe are absolutely fundamental. And that is why we need a commission which is robust in defending all of these positions. So specifically what we want to do in our group is make sure that the Commission implements those priorities that we demanded of Ms. van der Leyen when we confirmed her in post: the Green Deal, climate change, European strategy, as well as an undertaking to introduce more flexibility in the Stability and Growth Pact in order to have the kind of growth which translates into greater social welfare. And as I've said, flexibility will be more sorely needed than ever before in the light of the present crisis. We believe that the European Commission should also be pushing for the reform of Dublin. The situation on the border between Greece and Turkey is also of great concern to us. This is another issue we wanted to flag up. It's one of the debates on the agenda today. First thing to say is that it is absolutely unacceptable that Turkey is using vulnerable groups to its own political ends. It is using people who are refugees, unaccompanied minors as well as women to achieve its own political objectives, and that is entirely unacceptable. But the European Union has a moral as well as legal responsibility to act responsibility. Let me emphasize that it has a moral responsibility, not only because we bear part of political responsibility for the situation, but also a legal responsibility pursuant to international treaties. And that is why Greece is being subjected to huge migratory pressures in the wake of bearing the brunt of the economic crisis as well as austerity measures. But the European Union failed to rise to the occasion and to support Greece. For years now we've been talking about overhauling Dublin and creating a genuine asylum and migration policy. And what is happening now, therefore, is a consequence of our failure to do just that. It is now, therefore, urgent that decisions be taken. There is no time to waste. It is our responsibility for all of us in the European Union. We're talking about thousands of defenseless people who are searching for safety and a better future, and it is crucial that we respond to this crisis. And that is why, on behalf of my group, I called for the opening up of humanitarian corridors as a matter of urgency, as well as for us to step back from the kind of warlike or bellicose language that has been employed recently by the European Commission, talking about a European shield. Now, a shield is used to protect against weapons. What we're talking about here are not weapons, we're talking about human beings. And that is why this must weigh on all our consciences, and that is why we must act without delay. We'll also be calling on the European Commission to relocate unaccompanied minors to other countries, and that, of course, is a first step. It's something that, of course, we recognise, and some member states are now starting to show signs that they are willing to do so. But that in itself is not enough. We need cooperation policies with these countries, and we also need to talk about the fact that the European Union needs to play a more active role in external relations to make sure that we normalise the situation in these countries so we don't see a repeat of the situation that has occurred recently. Now, the High Representative Josep Borrell is looking at precisely this. We need to have a voice on the international political stage. And we also need to be a prime mover in our neighbourhood. So we need to have proactive policies across the Mediterranean, starting with stability in Libya. So these were the various issues that I wanted to run through, and I'm obviously happy to take your questions.
Thanks a lot. Are there any questions from your side? Yes, please go ahead.
Hallo, ich spreche kurz auf Deutsch.
I speak German. I'm from the German press agency.
Okay,
Yes?
now go ahead, please.
Okay. Ich wollte fragen.
I just wanted to know whether this decision regarding coronavirus this week is consistent enough, because it's worth not. You shouldn't do things by halves, I think. In general, does the EP have a disaster plan for this kind of thing? Obviously, there's still work that can be done on these things. Or is there no set protocol regarding these issues?
En primer lugar,
First and foremost, just to say that the decisions, and I said this to start off with, I would like to repeat this, the decisions made on a day-by-day basis, and this is how it has to be because the situation is quickly evolving. Decisions taken are using medical scientific criteria. Obviously, you've pointed out the various different points. Everyone is welcome to have their opinions. You may think the decisions are excessive. You may think we need a complete shutdown, but we're not here to challenge personal opinions here. There's a range of opinions, but I would repeat, and it's important to stress this, the decisions that are taken on a daily basis are in line with with scientific and medical opinion and criteria in this parliament as well, and bearing in mind also protecting the health of the people that work for us. So we don't know what decisions will be taken in the days to come, but I would like to put to you this message of being calm. These aren't political or personal decisions. They are founded on a medical scientific basis, and that's what we need.
Sí, además, decirles.
In addition, the EP, the technical services of the Parliament, are working on specific solutions to specific cases, such as electronic voting, because we don't know what is around the corner. So we need to be prepared for various scenarios. But at any rate, everyone's working on trying to keep us working in as normal a way as possible given the situation. And we hope to resolve the situation shortly.
Are there further questions from your side? If that is not the case, then I would like to say thank you to Iratxe and wish you a good week. Merci.